Morning, everybody. I hope this video of mine you will watch after you watch the video on qualitative research, nature and processes. Because once you watch this video, I think there's going to be a certain confusion in your mind. When you watch the video on qualitative research, because probably questions which have your mind is some of the things that you study in exploratory research, you're studying again in qualitative research, right? So how do you differentiate the two? Where does qualitative research fall, and where does exploratory research fall? Somewhere. So the idea of this short video that I'm giving, and I'm sending it today, with the lecture by Jogendra Kumar, is that you are able to put things in perspective in case you're not, you're having some confusion on it. Okay. So let's again. I'm just rewinding and going through all the steps. The first is, of course, we looked at. What are the 6 steps, broad steps in the bar? Okay. The first step is problem definition. Second is approach to the problem. 3 is research design. 4 is data collection. 5 is data analysis. And 6 is report presentation. Now, I hope you remember what are the 6 steps to marketing, right? So just like the 6 steps to marketing, these 6 steps are sacrosanct because this is how the bar goes about, the bar research, right? The bar steps, if you want to say, go about. So these 6 steps you need to remember. So now let's just get into detail on each of the steps. The first step was problem definition. In the problem definition, we looked at management problem and the marketing research problem, right? So these are the two. That is the management, they tell their problem, and this we have to change, build a research problem, right? Or the bar problem we need to create. So that was the problem definition. Okay. Management problem, marketing research problem. The next step in bar is approach to the problem. Approach to the problem first starts with us deciding, is it an inductive study, is it a deductive study, or it's an abductive study. So once again, based on the problem, you decide which study you're going for, and once you know that, then like for example, if it's a deductive study, then you know that you have to come up with the hypothesis, right? But typically, it will definitely have one of these, and it will have the research questions, right? Research questions, the breakup of the original marketing research problem. You break it up into research questions, right? For the research questions, and in case you're doing a deductive study, you will have hypothesis. You'll have a theory to it. Okay, if you're doing deductive, many times there's a theory model which is associated with the deductive process. Then we come to step number 3, which is the research design, right? Research design, the first step is the information needed. 2 is deciding what, getting into designing the research, whether it's exploratory, descriptive, causal. Also specifying the measurement and scaling procedures. 3 would be preparing the questionnaire, okay, based on whether it's exploratory, based on whether it's descriptive, whichever it is, preparing the questionnaire tool. 4 would be deciding the sampling size and the procedure. How would you go about the sampling? What is the sampling procedure you're going to use? What is the sampling size? And 5 would be, which is the data analysis that you're going to use. For example, could it be a conjoint? Could it be a regression? Especially when it's quantitative. So the research design had 5 components: information, designing the research, the questionnaire, we had the sampling, and the type of data analysis that you're going to do. Now, in this, if you take the research, the second component of the research design, we learned there is exploratory, there is descriptive, and there is causal. Now, in the last video, you guys, I took you through examples of all these 3, right? Now here is probably where the confusion comes. In exploratory, when you learned exploratory research, you sort of learned that the procedures were focus group discussion. In fact, the exact was under exploratory research came survey of experts, pilot survey, secondary data, qualitative research, focus group discussions, projective techniques, etc. Right? So this is what we learned. And very important, okay, I missed this out, okay. I'll go in the research then first was information research, and in B, then before saying exploratory deciding, we had to decide whether it's a conclusive or a non-conclusive, and that's where conclusive, because now, as I said, a lot more terms are coming in, and therefore, you need to structure it. So in B was where we discussed whether it's conclusive, non-conclusive. If it is non-conclusive, we chose exploratory research, and if it is conclusive, we chose either descriptive or causal. Under exploratory, we learned all these procedures in the chapter on the video on exploratory research. Probably I want you to now, that is right what he said about exploratory research, but we're going a little more deeper. So forget about that part, okay, what we learned about the methods. Exploratory research can be divided into two. One is a secondary data research that you can do, and two is qualitative, right? So that means qualitative will be collecting of primary data. So that is how the division is done, okay? So conclusive research, non-conclusive research is you have exploratory research. Exploratory research is divided into two, secondary data research and qualitative research. That means typically qualitative research is where how do you get the primary data. Qualitative research, yes, is then you can say divided into 6 processes. Now again, in this video, he first talks about direct and indirect methods in qualitative research, and then he talks about qualitative processes, data processes. Now, this could lead to certain confusion. I'm saying please merge these 2 slides so that we don't have. So in direct, he says probably he says focus group discussion, and he says interviews, right? And indirect method, he talks about the projective techniques. And then in the procedures, he talks about ethnography and approach method and things like that, right? So I want to combine these two and say that the qualitative methods are ethnography, action research, in-depth interview, focus group, case study, projective techniques, right? Active research, action research, right? So here's I'm summing up again what the confusion could be in the research design. The first is information needed, and the second step is what we're discussing mainly in this video. You decide whether it's a conclusive or a non-conclusive. If it is a non-conclusive, it has to be exploratory research. Under exploratory research, there are 2 divisions. One is secondary data research or qualitative research. Typically, if you choose qualitative research, you have 6 techniques of qualitative research, which are first, ethnographic study, action research, in-depth interview, focus group discussion, case study, projective techniques. Okay, so I hope you got the flow. Just to take an example, let's take the last example that I took. Why do students not explore the reasons why many students don't attend marketing classes, right? So the first step of BAR is we go back is problem definition, right? So the problem definition there is explore the reasons why. So my question, the management problem is why are students not coming to marketing class, right? Could be the management problem. The marketing research problem would be explore the reasons why students miss marketing classes. Okay, so that's the first thing is over, which is the problem definition. Second step, approach to the problem. Here the approach to the problem, it ideally should be inductive, okay, because there is no hypothesis. You're starting with absolute. Clearly, it's an inductive process that you're starting. You can write further research questions. You can break it up into. The third part is the research design, and in the research design, second component is what I'm going to discuss. It's a non-conclusive research because there's no conclusion that's going to come out of it. You're exploring the reasons. B, we decide that it's an exploratory research. Under exploratory research, we decide it's going to be a focus group discussion because we were going to call 8 people. We can use both. We can use focus group discussion, and we can use, let's say, we call 2 people and then we do an in-depth interview. So that is also possible, right? So hope you got the flow of it. If there are still doubts remaining, you can probably let Raghav and I can go through this iteration again. Listen to this video carefully, especially of mine, so that you get the flow of it. Okay, thanks.